Michael, how's the week been after what was obviously a frustrating defeat against Rotherham?
Yeah, week's been good, really good actually. I think the boys have trained really well, been really positive, and of course we wanted to win the game. No doubt about that. But it's about us being in the right frame of mind, the right energy levels, and getting the balance right for us. And the boys have been terrific this week. So really looking forward to the game on Monday, and obviously what's ahead after that.
How important is this game for momentum and confidence going into those playoff games, whoever they end up being against?
I think any game you want to play well. First and foremost, you want to play well and win. There's a time when winning is a little bit more important than the performance, and I think over time, we've had a good level of performance over the last couple of weeks. In some ways, the level of performance and the standard of play and the energy levels is once we knew we were in the playoffs was vital that we kept that. The results haven't been exactly what we wanted, of course they haven't, but there's a couple of decisions have been key in that as well. But ultimately that won't tell us the story at the end. That's why the performance levels in training and in the games, which we've been pretty pleased about, will give us the confidence knowing what we're capable of, and boys can't forget that of what they're capable of, and they've shown that anyway generally in the performances. So I think we're just excited and looking forward to what's ahead.
Obviously it's a bit of a strange scenario because it's Coventry on Monday. It could then be Coventry 2 times more. So does that change how you then approach the game on Monday?
No, I don't think so. I think we're taking this as a one-off game. It could possibly be a one-off game. We the stage of the season is very unpredictable, and there's a lot of permutations at the moment. So we'll take it as a one-off game. We'll prepare. I think we need to focus on ourselves and our own standards and what it takes to prepare for a game, to be ready, to be at our level really, and we understand what's at stake. So it's not just about us concentrate on us and doing what's best for us. There's a responsibility for other teams in the league as well, and so we're well aware of that. And then whatever happens, whoever we end up playing, regarding the results on Monday, we'll deal with that when it comes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you here because obviously a lot of fans are fans of other teams. You look at West Brom, you look at all the other teams who are in with a shout, Sunderland as well, of course. They're looking at it probably thinking, don't know if we quite fancy being up against Middlesbrough. Do you have a preference? Because it could be any of 3 or 4 teams in the playoffs.
It's not up to me to have a preference, to be honest. I think it's we'll find out who we'll play against, and then we'll prepare and we'll deal with that, and we'll look forward to that game, whatever it is. I think is on a professional level, and how we look about it, the preference is not really relevant. We'll play that the cards that we're dealt, and we'll try and make the most of that.
And just finally, injury front, obviously you've got quite an extensive injury list at the minute, so any of those players, Howson, Ramsey, obviously Ryan Giles, Dale Fry, expect any of those to be back in the offering for Monday?
Yeah, we obviously got a number of injuries, and not ideal in terms of the timing and having players out. I think I'm not dismissing the players who are injured at all, and they know that how much I obviously love the boys to bits, but it's about who's fit, who's available. If we can get other players fit, fantastic, but we go with what we've got, and really believe that we're in good shape, and then see what we can do about getting the boys back as and when they're at different stages. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that, but actually we'll make the most of the opportunity that's in front of us with the players that we have.
Thank you, Michael, appreciate it.
Hi Michael, just in terms of the playoff picture, did you expect it to, obviously it's your first season managing, particularly in the Championship, did you expect it to be this tight, this close to the wire?
Normally is. It normally is, yeah. I think that's why we never got carried away at any stage during the season, to be honest, because it always comes down to the end of the season, and it always comes down to the last few games. Normally both ends of the table, so it's you've got to take it to the wire, and you've got to keep performing and see out the ups and downs. So we've managed to do that. We obviously give ourselves a position where for a couple of weeks we've kind of known what's next for us and the position that we'll face. So we've tried to use that to our best of our advantage.
And obviously the congestion of the fixtures for the semi-finals for the playoffs, quite tightly packed games, and then a potential final kind of further down the line if you were to get that far. How do you manage that?
Just a normal week, really, in terms of managing your time, managing the training, managing the preparation. I think keep it as normal as possible. I think it's not a time for changing things. It's in terms of time of games, we've played Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday, whatever it may be, or you play, one a week. However it is we've got ways of preparing for games, whatever length of time we've got. So we'll just go through the process of that and prepare the best we can.
There'll be a lot of teams around the playoff picture mathematically that will be hoping, the permutations of whatever result you get against Coventry will have knock-on effects for them. What's your kind of take on that? That it's out of some teams' hands, and actually there's a knock-on effect from what you get as well. Yeah,
that's normal. I think that's it's not. It ends up being about this last league game for a number of teams, but it's. I keep saying it's the whole journey. It's the points accumulation through the season that puts you in this position, and ultimately at the end of the day, teams have all got their own agendas, their own situations, and their own hopes. It's purely about us, really, and we respect Coventry, and I'm not dismissing that. I think we'll prepare. Well, I know we'll prepare as we would for any other game, and be thorough and look to play well, and certainly look to win the game. I think there's a responsibility to do that anyway. But as we have done all season, we concentrate a lot on ourselves and being the best we can be, and whatever happens is in the end, like every other game this season, whatever happens is going to happen.
And just lastly from me, Coventry obviously have had a pretty impressive season as well. What's been your take on the job the manager's done there?
Yeah, fantastic job. Very, very good team. We're obviously well aware of what they do, how they play. We've watched them obviously a lot, as we would any team, but some really dangerous players in the team, but a real team, good togetherness, well organised, play some really good football. So there's a they're there for a reason, Any team at this stage of the season, when you're up there and you're fighting for the playoffs, or you get in the playoffs, you're there because you deserve it, and they're certainly right up there because they deserve it, because they're a very good team.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Michael.
Just on the injury front, Michael, obviously at Rotherham last week you did welcome back Tommy, Paddy and Riley, and you said after the game they came through it fine, and longer term into the week, has that been the case? They've all been?
Yeah, the boys are fine, they're fine. Paddy played a little bit more than obviously we had set out and we had hoped for, but ultimately in the end he benefited from it, and it was good to get Riley back and get some good minutes, because he had missed a bit, and Tommy hadn't missed as much, but it was they all came through fine, so been a good week as well.
Brilliant, yeah, and obviously it's quite a unique situation really, because of the manner of the game, and it could be Coventry in the playoffs after this league match, but you could almost influence that to not be. I mean, does that come into the mindset of the thinking of how you approach a game at all?
No. Well, you can't go in and think, I'll tell you what, we'll draw this game or we'll lose this game to suit us. No chance. As I said, that's pride in ourselves, that's pride individually and as a team, in terms of you got standards, we got our own beliefs and the ways of playing, and it comes down to pride, but ultimately, like I've just mentioned as well, there's a responsibility, and there's competitive responsibility to not just, as I've said, this game is the same as any other game this season. The league is the league because it's that many games, and everyone counts, so we won't change how we approach it for that, whether we play Coventry again or we don't play Coventry again. I think it certainly is not in our thoughts approaching the game. We know the situation, there's no hiding from it, but we don't have any other agenda apart from trying to be the best we can be and trying to win the game again.
You had the awards evening last night. You mentioned the situation. It's in. I mean, that an opportunity to kind of mingle with supporters, speak to supporters. I know you'll obviously speak to them as you're heading into the ground and things like that as well. I mean, do you get the sense, speaking to them, of how much excitement there is around the place right now?
Yeah, of course, and there should be. It's. I've said it to you for some time when you're talking about when we've been on, winning games and the excitement that's built up and the hopes and the dreams and the and of course, you know, us as staff and players are excited and looking forward to what's ahead, and it's a fantastic opportunity. We've got to manage the emotions. That's part of the performing. You've got to manage your emotions. You've got to be stable, but you still got to have that. You've got to have excited and look forward to it. And what an opportunity for us. You know, it's in front of us. It's not going to be easy. It's unpredictable at times. This time of year, and but certainly as supporters, come and make as much noise and give us as much support as you can, because the boys thrive off it, and together hopefully it'll work out for us.
Yeah, just lastly for me, a bit different. I was listening to Nemanja Vidic's podcast with Rio Ferdinand this week, and he spoke about your time at Manchester United together, and in particular the intensity of training there. And you know, he described it as the training being, you know, more difficult than the match a lot of the time. I mean, is that kind of something that matches with your memory of that time? And is that something you've almost tried to implement here as well? Because I know you've spoke a lot about the intensity of training here.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that, probably because of that, because I know we got our rewards from that. And that comes down to what I keep talking about, the quality with the squad. You know, you can't have that intensity of training if you've got a starting 11 and then the rest. I think it's about the whole group and everyone bringing something to the table every day, and then in the end everyone benefits from it. And I think we've definitely seen that within training. I think we've seen that with the way players have came into the team from maybe a period out the team, and the way they've played and settled in. And I'm a big believer in it, that you need to have a level of intensity in training and competitiveness, and keep the edge, and push each other as much as you can.
Yeah, and when you talk about, you know, results not necessarily resulting in momentum, performances can do that as well. Can that come from training as well? You know, you can be confident even if you have lost the last two, that you are carrying positive momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of confidence is not necessarily a results thing. I think from a player's point of view, certainly, I think you have a feeling of how well you're playing, and if you've got a foundation from your performance, you always got a feeling we're capable of winning another game, or we're capable of playing well. It's how you play. I think a lot of that is dictated by confidence. Sometimes a win gives you a spike and gives you a boost. Of course it does, but I think ultimately in the end, there's a standard, and there's almost a level that you need to hit in yourself to know that, you know, we're close, or we're playing all right. It's just, you know, you keep that belief really in more than anything, and I think we've definitely got that in terms of training around the place. The boys haven't flinched, which is a great sign.
Just on injuries again, Johnny and Ryan specifically, how are they doing, and have they trained this week?
They're at different stages a little bit. Johnny's hasn't trained yet, and Gilo's touch and go a little bit really of where he's at and how it's going to settle down. So yeah, same with all the boys, as I said, we're trying our utmost to get them fit. It's part of the game, unfortunately, and timing's not always kind to you in football sense, so we just have to make the most of what we got.
And Aaron, I know we mentioned the big picture back at Villa. Is he still there, or is he back?
We're working together, so there's a little bit of both really. Just trying to make the best of it at the moment.
On Aaron specifically, it must be enormously frustrating for him, because he was just really beginning to show what he was capable of, wasn't he? And he was becoming.
Yeah, it's, as I said, it's unfortunate. It really is. You know, hopefully AJ, if he carries on the way he's going, he'll have a long, successful career. And unfortunately, again, injuries are part of the game. They never come at a good time, but they can come at some better times than others. And but then that's part of the experience for him. It's not great for us, because obviously he's a terrific footballer, and we'd love to have him to choose from. But for him personally, it's probably a tough one at the moment to take. But he'd be better for it in the long run, I think, to learn from his experience, and he's a good enough person and stable enough to kind of do that and benefit from it in the end.
Chuba obviously won 2 awards last night, and he's going to win the Golden Boot unless something really weird happens on Monday. I know obviously you rested him in that Luton game. Has he told you that he wants to start on Monday to reach that 30 goal mark?
No, to be honest, he hasn't. But I think it's not so much the number. I think it's just more of playing well and playing a part in the team being a good team, and then and that he's got his benefits and rewards from it, and headlines and goals. Of course he has, and he's hungry for more. I've said it to you before, but that's the beauty of Chuba, to be honest, is he's never really settled for it, whether it was 10, 15, 20. He's never really took a deep breath and settled for it. He's always wanted more, and I'm sure he still does. So hopefully he gets them. And
I know we've talked about his contract before, but in every interview he talks about how happy he is, how settled. Is any further down the line with that, with what?
I don't want to get this time of year contracts for any player really. It's we're nearly there in terms of season ending. But yeah, there's not much to say that I haven't already said about Chuba. He's done fantastic. I think he's found a good place to play his football, and you can see by his smile and the way the goals are going and how much he's enjoying himself, which is fantastic to see.
And Victor Gyökeres obviously is a second top scorer. Is that the ultimate championship test for your defenders on Monday, given that they don't have to play against Chuba every week?
Yeah, they train against them every day, so they get a good test of it every day.
Does that benefit them? I mean,
that's just part of the squad really, of like I said, the intensity of training and pushing each other all the time to 100%. It benefits you, and obviously he's a very good player, and we have to be fully aware of what he's capable of. He showed that all season long, so we'll definitely know what we're coming up against.
And just at the awards last night, the moment of the season for the club was your appointment. What's been your moment of the season?
I haven't really got one, to be honest. I think it's seeing the team develop, seeing the camaraderie and the connection between the players, the fans and the staff, and how momentum's kind of built as the season goes. It only counts for so much, of course, and in the end it's about winning games and trying to get out of the league. We know that, but there's definitely a way of going about things and saying about the confidence before. I think if there's got to be a foundation and a substance behind it, and you can kind of weather your ups and downs and whatever's thrown at us. I think there's enough for us to build on wherever we end up and be positive about what's next.